We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this Rebel Outpost College Football YouTube channel with a donation. Hit the $ when you make a comment, and I'll get to your comment. I'll get to your super chat as quick as I can. Welcome into the studio that sits on the very, very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend in the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show. I'm sorry. First of all, I'm sorry that I'm late. Second of all, I'm sorry that I'm laughing. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know if now, as you know, as part of the PATC community, you guys, you guys are a little bit out ahead of the pack. College football's peek around the corner. I think we've laid down a really good track record here and a few L's along the way. And I The reason why I'm late is, and I put it in the description box. I just put one sentence. We got a Florida State money perch update. And for those who are new to the show, this is the gentleman that told us on December 26, 2022, that in 2 months, Florida State was going to say something in public, and they did on February 24th, and how they were not happy in the ACC. They needed unequal revenue sharing. He was the gentleman that told us that Florida State was going to make a declaratory statement in the courts, a declaratory statement in the first quarter 2024. He was 9 days off. It happened on December 22nd. He was a gentleman that's been talking to the Clemson money perch. And anyways, you guys know the whole story. Well, he just gave us an update. I don't have the okay to read the email. But I had to change the title of the show. Now, he's a Florida State money perch. He's not Clemson. But he talks to some people at Clemson and money perch, and you know, he told us this Clemson thing was going to happen, and he told us that they're holding hands, Clemson with North Carolina, amongst a few other people. Well, he told us, I said, once again, I'm scrambling. I've already got a stacked show. I've already got it. I don't need this. I don't need this extra drama being dumped at me right before we go live. But it happened. So now I got to report to you all what happened. I don't even know. In fact, I gotta lean on the peek around the corner community on something. Let's just say this. Clemson is hot. They are hot. And remember, through people that I talked to, but through the Florida State money perch, Clemson is different. They're buttoned up. They're professional. They're conservative in how they do things. Now, by the way, before I get into it, this was reported by Tiger Illustrated. We spoke with a highly placed source yesterday who told us that Clemson's bylaws don't specifically mandate official approval from the Board of Trustees on moving forward with a lawsuit against the ACC. So that action that Clemson took, they did not have to have a meeting, a public meeting, or anything else. I'm sure they had a private one. I just wanted to point that out. Clemson is hot. In its recent, something that went down recently. We're going to get into it. But they are hot. They are more angry than they were before. So we're going to get into it. The show was Clemson, why now? And we're going to be going through an Andy Staples article real quick. I'm going to be giving you what I think. But then we've got this other layer that was given to us. And Andy Staples did not touch upon it. Nobody else has touched upon it that I know of. But Clemson is hot. So you remember on Friday, we did a Friday live show that we looked straight in the camera and we said, there is no more risk. Clemson is going to, the fireworks going to happen real soon. What I'm about to tell you is now there was no question. There was no question why Clemson did what they did yesterday in filing that lawsuit. We're going to get to that. First of all, let me thank everybody. Again, this was dropped on my lap. We are going to... Now, we don't have a lot of details around it. We're going to get more details in the next 24 hours. But they are hot. Okay, let me thank everybody who's come on in at the start of the show. I also want to touch upon the SEC keeping their powder dry. You know, that 2000, they just came out today. The 2025 football schedule is going to be exactly like the 2024 football schedule. 8 conference games. They're just going to switch do-si-do, the home and away games. Keeping that powder dry for 2026. We're going to cover that. Plus, I just want to touch a little bit more on the Nebraska storyline that we talked about a few days ago. We put out a live show saying that Nebraska is worried about the next realignment wave. We got more information on that. So we've got a stacked show. So bear with us. Please be patient. I'm going to do my monologue. Then we're going to get to your super chats, your phone calls, your comments, and everything. Patrick is in the house. Baylor Bear Patrick, Jared Jones, the Buckeye, the Buffalo, Richard L., Minnesota, Seminole, the Walking Geek, John Menser, Expedition Greg, Jay Go Blue, the Wolverines are in the house. Randy Taylor, John Bennett, Michael Bates, Daniel CFP, Edits, Ted Evans, the Husky. Ted Evans, thank you so much. Thank you so much for becoming once again with your incredible generosity. Holy smokes. I did not, you made it generous. You got another membership for Early P Cloak and Dagger. I was not able to say thank you to you. We're closing out the show. Thank you, Ted Evans. Once again, you are hereby Cloak and Dagger knighted. And I do apologize for not getting to you at the end of the show. Thank you, Mr. Evans, for your generosity. Dr. L. Smith is in the house. Gene Heckman. Tony, Tough Tony. Jay is here. The Terrapin is here. Kirk Bender is here. Gary, Michael Uten, another Terrapin. Hey, Godfather. Hey, you, Mr. Turtle. JB is in the house. Got 99 problems, but PATC ain't one. Well, that's good. And Charlie Atwood once again representing the Nittany Lions. I'm sorry I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at you. Any of you. I'm not laughing with you. It's just the language that was used in this email. And it wasn't directed to me. It's directed to one of my associates, the BTM Money Perch guys. And then they sent it to me. I don't know. I'm still kind of... Are you Tony? Clemson. Jonathan Price. The Red Raider, Laura Rice. Jonathan Weaver. Sorry. Holmes DX is in the house. Sheep in Wolf's Clothing. Greg, so hope you're singing Welcome to Miami. I haven't done a PATC rendition recently of any song. And I know you all are cheering right now. You all are clapping. But that's part of the show. I do sing on the show. I do special PATC renditions of songs and then tie it to college football. I got to do all the songs a cappella. I know none of you are happy when I do that. Welcome to Miami. I don't think I can pull that off. I don't think I can't. You guys know I can barely pronunciate good enough to do this show. There's no way I can do that song. Just no way. Do not be afraid, Clemson. Canes all day is in the house. Rock and Rant Gene Calderon. Nathan Jones, welcome to Miami. Pike is in the house. First time I've caught you live at the beginning. Ooh, thank you, sir, for coming on in. Appreciate it. I very much appreciate it. Let's see who else is in here. Buckshot Kid, Sean, KS Bear FN, Nick Boardman, Jim Reese is on his street kicking butt shows every day. Thank you, Mr. Reese. I appreciate it. Jared Jones. No, I don't think so. But Mr. Buckeye is in the house. Jeno is in the house. Hey, friends, call me Sean. Salt of the Earth, preseason champions, OHIO. I've got them number 2. I got to tell you, the Buckeyes are going to be tough. Buckeyes are going to be tough. We'll see what Will Howard, what he looks like. The reports, I haven't heard of the reports coming out of camp. They started the camp already up in Columbus. Carey's in the house. Yo. David Hopkins. Randy Taylor. Lewis Pop is in the house. Bazoo. Joaquin Morales is here. Anthony Carlson. The Architect is here. Zach Mock is here. No Bungaga is here. Bud Elliott blocked me. I don't know what he's. Bud Elliott blocked me, and all I did was ask a simple question, and he blocked me. And then he said something like, what did he say? I don't even know what he said. It's a phrase that something about I'm trying to, supposedly I was trying to do something. I don't even remember what he said. I think I made 2 tweets at him in 10 years, and he blocked me off a simple, innocent question. So, I don't know. Maybe I caught him on a bad day. I asked him a simple question. Down in Kansas, thanks for coming on in. Facts over fandom. Ryan is in the house. Bill G. Movie Time Blues. Matt Neeson. Reg Dolly. Holy moly. Rod 4 Sooners 1. Boomer Sooner is in the house. Pretty No Girl. She is also in the house. Early at the beginning of the show, Reese is here. Okay, let's get to it. And Jimmy is here. And Joe Z is here. Tampa, Rob, thank you so much for becoming a new member of Cloak and Dagger Early Peak. Holy smokes. You are hereby Cloak and Dagger Knighted. That means you can go to our membership-only Cloak and Dagger Early Peak episodes. We dropped one today, this morning. Bienvenidos a Miami. Go check it out. Tim Bells is here. Elani Cass is here. Tumasta is here. Minnesota Seminoles is here. Would love to see Florida State versus Minnesota, and I've told Vince, know this. I've told every Florida State person I've been on, you're going to be coming to Huntington Bank Stadium in the first week in November. The Seminoles are going to be favored by 24 points. And you're only going to beat the Minnesota Gophers by 21. So buckle up. Brace for impact, Seminoles. You're not going to cover the spread against us Gophers. Not in November. You're only going to beat us by 3 touchdowns. You're not going to beat us by 3 touchdowns and a field goal. Not in November. Congo is in the house. Tampa Root, who's now an Early Peak member. Okay, we got 1,000 things to get to. We do have time. We do have time. So buckle in, strap in here. Clemson is hot. I'm sorry. Tomorrow, maybe I'll be able to release some of that email. We have done it in the past. I know there's a lot of new people here. We have been able to show some of the emails. Or not show them. I can read them, parts of them. This one's going to be difficult because there is a lot of bad language in the email. Clemson is hot. And there is one part of the story I'm missing, but we're going to talk about it. Okay. First of all, we did a live show. We did a live show on Nebraska about 3, 4, 5 days ago. I don't even remember anymore. But if you go into our YouTube channel, you can see Nebraska is worried. And I don't think they have anything to be worried about. I really don't. That is my position. And I'm willing to change my position. We don't try to get ourselves caught into a silo of information. But we covered this story because, and again, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but go back and watch our Nebraska is Worried live show. They're worried about their safety in the next realignment wave when it comes to Big Ten membership. Their interim president talked about it. Trev Alberts talked about it to Nebraska beat writer that I can't remember the name. But they're worried. In that live show, we gave you the public sourcing. We went through the articles. We went through some tweets. They believe they have to be more like their peers in the Big Ten to keep their membership. That's the part I don't agree with. But whatever. This is Nebraska's internal perception. And we put a lot of evidence out there that they have this internal perception. Now, they're not AAU. Okay? And we have reported to you all, you do not have to be AAU to become a Big Ten member. It's not true. You have to be a successful, emerging, growing, healthy research university. And when I just, all that means is you're probably most likely going to be AAU if you meet the private club's criteria and the internal politics that go along with that. Most large, healthy, growing research universities are AAU, as long as they meet these other criteria, which I don't know, which I don't really care about. My point is, AAU is a private club that does not hold a veto pen for Big Ten for schools for Big Ten entry. They do not write up the invitational list. AAU is a private organization. Jim Delaney in the past has said, we look at AAU schools first, but not only. Kevin Warren said, there is no, if you're not AAU, there is no rule against bringing on non-AAU schools. Michigan State was brought into the Big Ten in the 1950s, 8 years before they became AAU. So the precedent has already been set. Michigan State got into the Big Ten because of the University of Minnesota sponsorship. Minnesota sponsored Michigan State. Michigan sponsored Pittsburgh. Minnesota won the day on that. It was a very close vote within the conference. Minnesota is a huge research university. It was pretty big. It was pretty important back in the 50s. And so, of course, Michigan. And they brought in a school in Michigan State. They were not close to AAU at the time. But, so, and when Nebraska was expelled from AAU 2011, late 2010, 2011. I get my dates all mixed up back then. When they were expelled from the AAU, they were the first university to be expelled in over 100 years of the AAU. Other universities left, have gone on their own knowing they're about to get expelled. Before Nebraska got expelled, there's been a couple universities who left AAU since Nebraska got expelled. Iowa State being one of them, Syracuse being another, but Nebraska was expelled. About a day or two after Nebraska was expelled, then Big Ten Commissioner Jim Delaney said, "It's all right. It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. We have targeted non-AAU schools, one of them being Notre Dame." Jim Delaney said that in public. Okay, so now we're back to 2024. So we did this live show, and again, if you want more depth in details on it, go watch that live show. We put up a lot of images, a lot of pictures, a lot of tweets, an article or two. Okay. Again, let me hold on here, guys. Sean Callahan, a big-time Nebraska beat writer. Nebraska just hired a new president today, Dr. Jeff Gold. Okay? And he's been a part of Nebraska Lincoln. He's been a part of the medical research going on there somewhere in the state of Nebraska. Sean Callahan said, "One would think that Dr. Jeff Gold hiring should also help with what needs to be done for Nebraska to regain AAU membership. Gold obviously led the UNMC medical campus. The fact that Nebraska's medical school is separate from Lincoln flagship campus was a major factor in Nebraska being kicked out of the AAU. If you are asking why this is a big deal, there are 18 Big Ten schools heading into 2024 and 25. Nebraska is the only school not in AAU." Again, this is brought up again today. And if you've been watching, I listened to a little bit of a Nebraska podcast. Again, it seems to be very important for Nebraska to get back into AAU status. I had a PATC community member forward me this article. This article was the day after Kubrick, if I'm saying his name correctly, the interim president of Nebraska, the day after he was interviewed saying to the effect that, we don't know if we're safe in the Big Ten. We don't know if we're safe for the next realignment wave. We've got to get better at academic research. Again, we went through that interview in the live show 3 or 4 or 5 days ago. But there was an article here, which I did not know, from Aaron Sandiford, Nebraska Examiner. Nebraska seeks to protect academic and athletic future in Big Ten, pledging closer Nebraska-Lincoln and Nebraska Medical Center ties. Nebraska seeks to protect academic and athletic future in Big Ten. So, I didn't even know about this article. And basically, it's rehashing. There's a little bit of information here. Push to rejoin AAU interim. Nebraska President Chris Kubrick said reporting research as a single university in Nebraska was a first step. He called it a big deal. Instantly making Nebraska look more like a peers. On and on and on. We covered most of that in our live show. a few days ago. So, here's the thing. People are asking, why are you bringing it up today again on March 20th? I think it's important that, and I don't have the graph, I don't have the website in front of me to show you. Again, I showed it on the live show. Go back and watch it. Nebraska's they're worried internally about their future in the Big Ten. If I'm bringing it up now because people are saying, well, Greg, you've been saying that a school doesn't need to be AAU to become a Big Ten member. Why is Nebraska so worried? I've been trying to figure out why Nebraska is so worried. I believe I've hit upon it, and I showed it in the live show 3, 4, 5 days ago. Nebraska's research and development expenditures, the growth of Nebraska's research has been anemic since 2013. Incredibly weak. They started with their R&D expenditures at about $280 million in 2013. They're at $340 million for 2022. To give you an example, Notre Dame research was at $175 million in 2013. They're at $280 million in 2022. Notre Dame's growth in R&D has been huge. That's probably one of the reasons why, and political reasons, why Notre Dame was granted AAU. Same thing with Miami. Their growth, they were about at the same level as Nebraska in 2013, and now they're well above Nebraska in R&D expenditures. Florida State was about 10-20 million behind Nebraska in R&D expenditure. Florida State University in 2013. Now they're 15-20 million ahead of Nebraska. And this is without the benefit of being in the Big Ten, where schools combine resources, combine faculties, combine digital libraries, old school libraries. They combine everything to go after federal dollars, research dollars. Nebraska's growth in this has been brutal. And I think they've come to realize this. Now, they've known this the whole time. I haven't got this, I don't have this nailed down yet, but Nebraska's internally, McEwen is the name, the Nebraska's beat writer. He's been saying, he said a few days ago, everybody's talking about this at Nebraska. Are we safe in the Big Ten? I don't even think it's not about AAU. It's about even being a candidate for becoming AAU. Because right now they wouldn't even be considered a candidate. So is there some sort of benchmark that Nebraska has to meet 5 or 6 years from now? We know that Oregon received some benchmarks. Oregon that did about $150 million, not a big research university, even though they're AAU. But when Oregon and Washington talked to the Big Ten, cloak and dagger, in Washington, D.C. and New York separately, they were given benchmarks. Rutgers was given benchmarks. I'm thinking Nebraska was given benchmarks, and maybe they have fallen somewhat behind. So again, personally, I don't think there's much of a chance of Nebraska losing their Big Ten membership. It wouldn't be over. It wouldn't be over a scandal. They're not in probation. If you look at the Big Ten bylaws athletically, you have to go through all these. You have to be, basically, how I read them, Nebraska would have to be employing fake doctors to take care of the student athletes. You have to be just incredibly irresponsible to get kicked out of the Big Ten athletically. You're not going to get kicked out because of wins or losses or anything. But if you don't keep your football field safe, or your basketball court, or if you haven't employing fake doctors, maybe you get kicked out. Nebraska's not going to get kicked out for any of that. Incredible volleyball program. Baseball is doing better this year. Women's basketball program, NCAA. Nebraska's not going to get kicked out for athletics. But are they being pressured to pick it up when it comes to academic research? It sure sounds like that from what is being reported inside of Nebraska. Not me, not anybody else, inside of Nebraska. Now, why am I bringing all this up again? Well, because people are looking at Florida State as a possible Big Ten candidate. And there is nothing in Florida State's numbers that would tell me they would not be a candidate. Again, you do not have to be AAU, but you have to be a growing, impactful, healthy research university. Florida State is that. Miami is that. North Carolina is that. Virginia is that. Notre Dame has become that, but they didn't even need that. But they are that. Clemson isn't there, but Florida State definitely is. So I just wanted to put that to bed once again. I believe the door is not shut on the potentiality of Florida State going to the SEC. I don't think anything is out of the question when it comes to Florida State. Not here anyways. But the the favorite is that they eventually find themselves in the Big Ten. But that door has not closed between the President McAuliffe and Greg Sankey. I just wanted to hit upon that Nebraska. Now, let's get to, and let's quickly go through this SEC story. SEC sticking with 8 conference games. Right? And we knew this. We knew this. The Texas athletic director said this a few months ago. He said, yeah, we're sticking with 8 conference games, 2024, 25, but that 2026, that's when we could do the 9 conference games. And I think that's going to happen. We'll go into the reasons why. So this has been reported all over the place. I'm not even going to read the article. But I will read this part. A big part of this is the SEC network games. SEC network game start times can now be pushed back 45 minutes to lead to more staggered finishes. The 11 o'clock is going to be moved to 11:45. A typical SEC network slate would now look like 11:45 Central Time, 3:15 Central Time, 6:45 Central Time. While ABC and ESPN games would keep their typical start times, I think that's pretty smart. I think that is pretty smart, and I'm wondering if the Big Ten and other conferences might be thinking about that. Like in the Big 12, when it comes to Big 12 now on ESPN Plus, or Big Ten on Big Ten Network. You know, you got that big noon game, right? Big noon Eastern Time on Fox. But then you also have a big noon time Eastern Time on a Big Ten Network game. Why don't you push that 45 minutes? This is a great idea, in my opinion. Okay, enough with all that. Let's get to, we're going to get into Clemson here. Jimmy, thank you so much for your gifted membership. Holy smokes. Your generosity once again. Jimmy, you are hereby cloak and dagger knighted. Once again, thank you so much for your generosity. I do appreciate it. Our membership numbers are through the roof. I hope I'm giving you guys great content. There was We will talk about what we put into our membership-only episode this morning, late into this live show. But if you haven't seen it, go and watch it and come back to our live show. Or stay with us here, go back and watch it later. Whatever you want to do. Who got the gift memberships? Mike Sheridan. Mike Sheridan, you are hereby Cloak and Dagger knighted. Mike Sheridan, that means you can watch Cloak and Dagger early peak episodes from members only. And please give thanks to Jimmy. Clemson. Why now? Andy Staples. We're going to go through this article and then I'm going to share with you. You can take it however you want it. I'm going to share with you just part. I'm just going to give you Florida State Money Perch told us in his conversation with the Clemson Money Perch, Clemson is hot. They are incredibly upset with something that happened. And we'll get into it. Andy Staples, because Staples did not touch upon it here. Did ACC's admission of inferiority push Clemson to sue now? Well, maybe Andy did. In sort of an indirect way, Andy does say it. We're going to give you more of the direct story. Okay. The lawsuit Clemson filed Tuesday against the ACC did not emerge from nowhere. Though Florida State took action first, suing the ACC in Florida in December, a day after the ACC sued Florida State and North Carolina, the Tigers have been studying their legal options regarding the ACC grant of rights and exit penalty for years. On Tuesday, the College Football Playoff officially released the news that commissioners of the 10 FBS conferences and Notre Dame agreed to a new media rights deal with ESPN that will run through the 2031 season. What the CFP did not include in the email was a revenue split, but people involved in the negotiations had already leaked those numbers, and they served as an admission by the ACC and the Big 12 that they no longer exist on the same level as the Big Ten and the SEC. The Big Ten and the SEC will each distribute about $21 million per school from CFP revenue. The ACC would distribute about $13 million per school. The Big 12 would distribute about $12 million per school. It did not talk about Notre Dame right there. It did not talk about Notre Dame right there. And we'll get back to that. Is that why Clemson is hot? The leagues had been headed this way since Oklahoma and Texas agreed to join the SEC and UCLA and USC agreed to join the Big Ten. But reading the tea leaves and putting something in writing are two different things. When the ACC's leadership approved the memorandum of understanding for the new rights deal this week, it amounted to an admission of defeat. And it was a defeat. There was nothing the ACC could do because Brett Yormark is playing cloak and dagger at an extremely high level. Jim Phillips was just, he did not have anybody's chips to play at the table but his own. And he didn't have enough of those. Every Florida State and Clemson and North Carolina and Miami complaint about the ACC not being serious about competing for national championships in football was confirmed by the ACC officially laying down in a meeting, admitting its inferiority to the Big Ten and the SEC. Now, I just want to touch upon this. Every Florida State and Clemson, and then in brackets, and North Carolina and Miami complaint about the ACC not being serious. You're going to hear the name Miami more and more in these articles. I think you're going to see an avalanche of Miami in these articles. And that is why there is sudden more movement in the Holy Smokes Theater, which we're going to talk about later in this live show, that we talked about in our Cloak and Dagger early peak episode of this morning. Back to Andy Staples' article. This isn't some conspiracy theory based on CFP selection committee leaving a 13-0 Florida State out of the 14 bracket. Not simply a conspiracy. This is the ACC conceding in writing that the Big Ten and SEC are better leagues that are deserving of more CFP revenue. There is no other way to spin it, and it represents a stunning fall for a league that kicked off the century's realignment boom in order to make itself a respectable football league. When the Bowl Championship Series formed in the late 1990s, 6 leagues had most favored status and treated one another as equals. The ACC gutted the Big East. The Pac-12 melted down last year, and the number fell to 4. That meltdown happened in part because of now former Commissioner George Kliavkoff was okey-doked into joining the alliance with the Big Ten in 21, and also got duped into the alliance. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips. Who else got duped? Jim Phillips. The alliance didn't seem to have any real goals other than to cast the SEC as a big meaning for taking Oklahoma and Texas from the Big 12. The alliance's only actual achievement was pushing back the start of the 12-team CFP by a year. There was one goal that they had consensus on between the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Pac-12 in this alliance, and they were unsuccessful. But the goal was not to have ESPN control all of the playoff content in an expanded playoffs. Well, ESPN does have control. So the one thing that those 3 conferences agreed upon, they failed at that. That delay helped the Big Ten lock down its TV mega deal without competing product in the marketplace, which may have been then Commissioner's goal in forming the alliance. When the Pac-12 got raided in 22, the call came from inside the alliance headquarters. The alliance also got a 13-0 Florida State screwed out of the 2023 CFP and further eroded any leverage the 2 non-Big Ten leagues might have had from 2021 forward. The Big Ten and the SEC, surrounded by blood in the water, decided now was the time to codify the superiority. Could Phillips or any other ACC leader have done anything to stop this? Maybe not. Maybe the die was cast when the news broke in July 21 that Oklahoma and Texas were headed to the SEC. Or maybe in July 2022 when the news broke that UCLA and USC were headed to the Big Ten. The ACC didn't have the option to fight for an equal share with the Big Ten and the SEC because the Big Ten and the SEC are better football leagues with more desirable brands. There can be a college football playoff that most fans will watch without the ACC. There can't be one without the Big Ten or the SEC. That's the hard truth. That got rammed down the ACC's throat this week. Something else got rammed down the throat of the ACC this week. Something else got rammed down Clemson's throat this week. Can you tell me what it is in the chat room? because we did not isolate on it. We did not even acknowledge this until the Florida State Money Perch sent us an email. There was something else that was rammed down Clemson's throat this week. I will check your DM in a second, Justin. I appreciate it. I will get to it. Thank you, sir. Florida State has been warning about this privately for more than a year. Seminoles leaders sounded a public alarm in August of 2023. Those Florida State leaders were pillared for being so vocal, but they were proven 100% correct this week. And suddenly Clemson has joined their team publicly instead of merely agreeing privately. Will another ACC join the fight against the conference? Now that the league has admitted its inferiority in writing, it wouldn't be the least bit surprising. That's an article from Manny Staple. There's more to the article. We provide a link in the description. You can read the whole thing. Why Clemson now, why? Well, we're going to give you a little bit more to this story. We're going to give a little bit more to the story. Holy smokes. Oh boy. Breaking news. I don't know if I have enough to drink in the studio here. I might have to call upon the moderator, the one who rules with an iron fist, Maria Hernandez Garcia Flugar, to supply me more juice. Okay, Justin. I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna get to the finish of the Clemson story because it's a big one. But now we got more of Justin. Can you provide? Okay. Hold on. Okay. Breaking news. It looks like the Atlantic Coast Conference has filed a suit against Clemson in Mecklenburg County. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Hold on, everybody. Okay. Justin, give me a call. Let me open up the phone lines. I don't know if Justin can give me a call. Everybody leave the line open. Let's see if Justin could give me a call. 763-260-1333. First of all, we got to do that. Second of all, we have to change the, please everybody, just give me a little patience here. We are scrambling. We got more breaking news. Okay, now I'm going to go try to find. You can call it 5:15. I'm guessing that's 4:15 Central. Okay. Um yeah, okay. Just okay. Um I'm going to leave the phone line open. Everybody just stay off the line for right now. I promise you, we've got time here. We've got time. We've got time. I don't have to close the studio down for another 2 hours. I've got a thing I got to do at 6:30 Central. That's 7:30 Eastern. We got still 2.5 hours left, and I haven't even finished my first monologue. Ah, okay. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. I know I can. I can find this. I'm smart enough I can find this. I think, right? Okay, hold on. Hold on. Um, that's not right. God, what am I doing? Um, Justin, if you're listening to me, I just sent you my work email here. Man, I didn't even get through my first. Oh boy. Okay. I can't even spell. Man. All right. Okay, we got breaking news. We're just not smart enough to get to it yet. Hold on. I'm going to just I'm going to eliminate what I'm going to do here is basically Justin, I gave you the email and I haven't seen anything in my inbox yet. Okay. Okay, I think I got it, guys. Hold on. No, I'm not getting anything on that. Yeah, that's not working. Oh. Okay. Come on, baby. One time, one time, one time. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. It's processing. Come on. Come on. I still only got Atlantic Coast Conference versus the Board of Trustees.
Call from
Justin, I'm sorry, man. I went to the site. I'm only getting the Board of Trustees. I'm not getting anything Clemson related.
Sorry. It works really weird when a lawsuit first uploads to the database. It takes a little while for it, but I've got it up, and so
okay.
And it won't let me.
Let me show you this screen. What do I do on this screen here? Can you see my
just
screen?
1 minute. Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, everybody in the PATC community. Thank you for your patience. We got breaking news, and we're trying to give it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go to Smart Search.
Smart Search?
Yes.
Oh, there it is. Okay. I went into search hearings. Okay. This where I put Atlantic Coast Conference?
Yes. Put in Atlantic Coast Conference, do the CAPTCHA, and press submit.
Got it. And submit?
Yes.
Come on, baby. One time. Okay.
You may have to scroll down to find the Clemson versus.
Ah, there it is. Case number, I hit that, right? Yeah.
I think yeah.
Okay.
And then something will pop up.
Wow.
Where you have to scroll.
Okay, I'm on it. Plaintiff, Atlantic Coast Conference, defendant, Clemson University. The complaint filed under seal.
So click on,
that was created 6 minutes ago. Okay, I'm sorry. What do I click on?
So click on, you see where it says index number 2. Go to the left and click on that little Adobe symbol, that right above complaint, that says complaint.
Got it. Okay, I did, and it just sent me to this. It didn't do anything.
It did not do anything.
Index 2. I go over here and hit this.
Yes, hit that right there. And it should be popping up in another. It's not going to pop up. That's interesting. It popped up for me because the filing is 133 pages long, and it begins with. Wait. Here it is.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. I'm sorry. I got it. Okay, everybody. I just need your patience here. We are just looking at this for the first time. I'm going to see if I can get this so people can actually see it. Hopefully that everybody can read that a little bit better. Okay, Justin, have you had any time to look at this?
Well, actually, no, because what I've been doing throughout the day is I've been periodically checking because I've been expecting them to file something.
Okay.
And so I checked right at 5 p.m. because that's when the court
I'm going to go
closed,
ahead and rattle through this. And
yes, and I'll hop off and I'll call back on.
You call me back, okay?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Everybody, breaking news. In the state of North Carolina, County, Mecklenburg, Atlantic Coast Conference, the plaintiff, Clemson University, the defendant. The ACC is a great conference, and this increases the national exposure and additional revenue and offers greater opportunity for student athletes. For us and the Florida states and others, it stabilizes the conference long term. And the ACC is putting down in the very first page what the Clemson University president at the time, James Clements, and then chair of the ACC's Council of Presidents, describing the ESPN agreements and amended grant of rights. So on the very first page, they put out an old quote from James Clements, Clemson University president. Summary of claims. The case involves the integrity of contracts and particularly the good faith and the word of Clemson, a chartered member institution of the ACC. Throughout ACC's history, Clemson has actively participated as a member institution in the management and development of the ACC. In 2021, Clemson voted to increase the withdrawal payment under 1.4.5 of the ACC Constitution to an amount equal to 3 times the total operating budget of the conference. Clemson also agreed in 2013, 2016, along with every other member of the ACC, to grant its media rights irrevocably and exclusively to all of its home games to the conference to 2036, regardless of whether such member institution remains a member of the conference during the entirety of the term. Now they got that in quotes. The ACC has that in quotes. Indeed, Clemson celebrated these developments. As a result of these actions through the grant of rights, Clemson has received more blank to date and will receive redacted yet in the wake of conference realignment elsewhere. In new media deals involving other conferences, Clemson has changed course and seeks not only a home in a more lucrative conference, but claims that the agreements in what publicly endorsed do not mean what they say. Clemson now takes the position that the withdrawal payment it voted for is enforceably penalty number 2, and it grants the rights to the ACC was neither irrevocable nor exclusive to 2036, and regardless of whether it remains a member, despite the plain language of the agreement, in doing so, Clemson breached its agreement to not take any action or permit any action to be taken by others subject to its control that would affect the validity and enforcement of the grant of rights. Consequently, the ACC seeks 1, a declaration that the withdrawal payment is valid, 3 times the operating budget of the ACC, which is about 130 to 140 million. The ACC wants a declaration of that withdrawal payment is valid and enforceable contract, term applicable to Clemson. Number 2, the ACC seeks a declaration that the plain language of the grant of rights means what it says, and that Clemson's grant of rights is exclusive and irrevocable through the term, regardless of whether Clemson remains a member institution. Number 3, the ACC seeks a declaration that by accepting millions of dollars of benefits under the grant of rights, and as a member institution that has operated under the grant of rights for more than a decade, Clemson is stopped from attacking the validity of the withdrawal payment or the grant of rights, or in the alternative, has waived any right to do so. A declaration that Clemson owes fiduciary duties to the ACC as a member institution. Number 5, damages for Clemson breach of contract. And 6, damages of Clemson's breach of covenant of good faith and fair dealing. So again, we're going to have more smart people calling in this show than myself. Thank goodness. I'm not a lawyer, but from what I'm reading here, ACC is not treating Clemson any differently than they did Florida State. And Clemson did not use the same verbiage, not the same legalese as far as I can see that Florida State used. But yet the ACC is basically saying Clemson breached his fiduciary duties, breached the grant of rights, breached damages for Clemson's breach of the covenant of good faith and fair dealing. Clemson held back. I didn't even finish my monologue, by the way, and I'm going to get to that right now. We got a lot of new people coming in. This show was about how this show was first titled. Hold on, everybody. We're going to get more to it. Hold on. I'm calling a timeout. We can't have any more breaking news. Not while I'm behind the mic, okay? The main part of this live show is to talk about how hot Clemson is. The big reason why Clemson is hot is because coming out of the CFP, Notre Dame with that participation bonus as an independent program is being treated better than Clemson. And that was it. According to Clemson Money Perch, telling our Florida State Money Perch, and they've been communicating, and that's why we were able to put Clemson at the... That's why, right? Clemson is hot because Notre Dame has this in the CFP where they get a participation bonus, and I don't know. I don't even know if it's confirmed. I don't even know if it's even out there. But supposedly Notre Dame can make up to $6 million more going into the playoffs. That's a bump from the $12 million. Clemson is looking at it like this and says, that was it. That was it. That was it for Clemson. I mean, that was it. And the language that is used in the email coming, because part of that email was from the Clemson person to the... and that was laid upon us at about 2:45 Central Time. And that is why we came on 10 minutes late. Clemson is hot. Now we have this breaking news. Let's get back to the breaking news. Okay. 15 members, On March 20th, which is today, March 20th, 2024. That's today, right? Well, I don't even have it up here. I'm sorry. March 24th, 2024. The ACC held a special meeting in which 3/4 of the ACC's member institution waived the 3 days notice requirement under Section 15151 of the ACC's Constitution, and in which more than 2/3 of the ACC member institution voted to approve the filing of this complaint. In which more than 2/3. So they got 11 members, at least I'm going to say 11. They got at least 11 members to vote on this. The conference is party to the written contracts at issue. Let me read that again. Today, March 20th, 2024, the ACC held a special meeting in which 3/4 of the ACC members' institutions waived the 3 days notice, and in which more than 2/3 more. They didn't say at least 2/3. They didn't say 2/3. They say in which more than 2/3 of the ACC member institutions voted to approve the filing of this complaint. I think we're looking at 11 schools that filed this, that approved it. Clemson is subject to the jurisdiction of the state of North Carolina in matters involving the ACC. right? Clemson joined the ACC on May 8, 1953. Again, if you just join us, the ACC has filed a complaint against Clemson in Mecklenburg County. This was, the last part of it was filed at 4:07 Central Time. That was 19 minutes ago. I'm just going through this. The phone line is open. The phone line is open. Anybody can give us a call if it has to do with this complaint. Let's hold off on all other information. We're going into this complaint. So if you're a lawyer or if you're somebody in the PATC community who's reading through this and I've missed something important, or I've mischaracterized something, please give us a call, 763-260-1333, okay? The conference generally holds 2 meetings of the board of directors per month. 3 of the 4 most recent in-person board of director meetings were held in North Carolina. Clemson's president attended the May 23rd and February 24th meetings in person. The Clemson's president voted unanimously to relocate the ACC's headquarters and principal place of business from Greensboro to Charlotte. I don't know what that has to do with anything, though. The ACC, through the board of directors, accepted a financial incentive of $15 million created by the state of North Carolina, paid by the North Carolina taxpayers. Again, I don't know what that has to do with this. Anyways, the contracts at issue, the grant of rights, the amended grant of rights, the ACC Constitution, and the ACC bylaws are North Carolina contracts that arose out of Clemson's membership in the conference. Clemson executed the grant of rights and transmitted its signature pages to the ACC in North Carolina. Between 2014 and 2016, the ACC entered into multiple agreements with ESPN for the media rights ceded by the grant of rights. These agreements were not possible without the media rights ceded by the grant of rights. I'm going to say this. We all wish that we could see that media rights agreement between ESPN and ACC, because that was the bulwark of Clemson's lawsuit yesterday. What is in that agreement that is not in public view, that is the bulwark of Clemson's complaint yesterday. And it's not going to get covered in this, I don't believe. This is 133 pages. And we're on page 7. So please, somebody read through this. Give me a call. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going until I get a call. Let me see if there's anybody else covering this in college sports. Is anybody else on this? It doesn't look like it. College football's peek around the corner. Yeah, there's no reporting anywhere on this. Let me, Carrie, thank you for those memberships. Carrie, I'm going to thank you later. I'm going to get to the super chats. Incredible generosity from Carrie once again. I do appreciate you all in the PATC community. We are breaking, we are trying to cover in a breaking story here. Hold on. Okay, let's get back to it. If somebody's reading through this and has something to add, please do. Between 2014-16, ACC entered into multiple agreements with ESPN for the media rights ceded by the grant rights. Though these agreements were not possible without the media rights ceded by the grant rights. Okay? The amended multimedia agreement 2014 was superseded by the amended multiple media right agreement in 2016. An agreement establishing the ACC network as a joint venture. And then there's redacted about how much Clemson has paid out. The member institutions of the conference, including Clemson, specifically authorized the ESPN agreements. 4 ACC member institutions are located in North Carolina, and Clemson frequently travels to North Carolina to compete in ACC. I don't know what that has to do with any of this. There's a lot of filler in this. I'm going to skip that, guys. I don't think that any of that is really... Clemson, in exchange for its membership in the conference, was granted the right to sue in North Carolina courts on behalf of the conference. The conference was also given the explicit right to sue Clemson for any claims which had arisen out of Clemson's membership. Okay. Now, venue. Again, ACC is arguing that as of August 1st, 2023, the ACC headquarters and principal place of business are located in Charlotte, North Carolina. This matter involves a dispute over whether the grant of rights and amended grant of rights entered into by Clemson and the conference in 2013, amended in 2016 is a valid contract. So basically, the ACC is arguing that the venue should be Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. Factual background. The ACC is the country's most successful collegiate, academic, and athletic conference. Well, then they should be getting paid that way. But anyways, the conference has placed the second highest number of teams in the college football playoff and is tied for the second most national championships in football over the past decade, largely to do, Clemson. But I'm not going to go through all that. It's going through the history of the membership. On July 8th, 2010, the ACC entered into its first multimedia agreement with ESPN with the unanimous approval of its member institutions, including Clemson. And then it talks about what Clemson got in exchange. The phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. Give us a call when it has to do with this complaint. If you've read through it, if there's something eye-opening, if there's something that I have misrepresented, please give us a call, 763-260-1333. And then Clemson, then president, was authorized to vote for and approve of the 2010 multimedia agreement. It's just going through a history here. The 2013 grant of rights, which has all been superseded by the 2016. I'm going to go ahead and skip all that. Going to skip all that. Lots of redactions here. Now we have in preparation for entry into the ESPN agreements on July 18th, 2016, each member institution executed an amendment to Atlantic Coast Conference Grant of Rights Agreement. A copy of the amended grant of rights is attached to this complaint as Exhibit 7. Maybe I'll take a look at that later. Exhibit 7. Remember that. Let me write that down. The amended grant of rights did extend the term of the grant of rights from June 27 to June 30, 2036. We know that. Even though it doesn't seem like ESPN has an exit hatch that they could get out of distributing ACC content from 2027 and beyond, which the deadline is February 1st, 2025 to make a decision. And that deadline was extended by Jim Phillips. We do not know the legality of that. Did he have authorization to extend that ESPN deadline by himself without the votes of its members? The grant of rights was further necessary to provide content to the ACC network for as long as that network operated. Absent certainty to the duration of the grant of rights, the ACC and ESPN could not establish the ACC network, nor market to its cable providers. Consequently, the term of the grant of rights was extended. This is a powerful argument, in my opinion. What Clemson and other ACC schools received in that extended grant of rights, the consideration that they received was the ACC network. Now, Clemson is saying, look, we can leave the conference. We can leave the conference and have our own media rights. The ACC should not be able to own those anymore because of some sort of communication, some media agreement between ACC and ESPN, which again, this does not cover. Or it's not going to cover it. I don't believe it is. That seems to be the poison pill. I don't know what you want to call it. The Achilles heel that Florida State and Clemson believes they have. Something in that media agreement between the ACC and ESPN tells Clemson that this grant of rights is limited in scope. That Clemson would take control of their own media rights if they left the conference. ACC, of course, disagrees. Again, it's going through all the history of this. There is no question about it. The ACC has been working on this complaint for a long time. I don't think it's a case of them just replacing the word Florida State with Clemson and past Florida State presidents with Clemson presidents. This is a Clemson, back to Clemson complaint. They've been working on this. They've been writing this history down. Okay. And then it talks about Clemson's seek of unequal revenue distribution. Just let me get to Super Chat before we get back into that. I appreciate it. Carrie, holy smokes. Greg, the AC is pure bleep. Thank you for your generosity. Carrie, I can personally verify that Mecklenburg County is where they go in North Carolina for the fix. Holy smokes. And then Carrie once again with his gifted 10 memberships. Holy smokes. Unbelievable. Thank you so much, Carrie, for your generosity. I want to hereby knight you cloak and dagger once again. Wow, Carrie with this incredible generosity. And who did grab those? You know what? I don't even see it anymore. But whoever got those gifted memberships from Carrie, please say thank you to him, and you are hereby cloak and dagger knighted. This is how you get to such an impressive number of 133 pages. Okay, I'm going to go right back to it, guys. I don't know. It doesn't look like anybody else is covering this. Okay, Ross Dellinger just put out a comment 15 seconds ago. I think everyone's going through it now. And Ross Dellinger is basically went through the first couple pages. I'm sorry, it was Chris Vanini and then Ross Dellinger. Chris Vanini, ACC has now filed a legal challenge against Clemson in North Carolina court. It argues that Clemson cannot get out of the ACC grant of rights or the league's exit fee. ACC is doing the same with Florida State. So, we're getting some national coverage. Hopefully, they've got some staff working on it, and they can peel back the onion and give us the highlights as further we go into this complaint. I tell you what, I'm doing the best I can here. Okay, we are on page 27. 27. Let's just keep going. I don't know if anybody else has any comment. Okay, I guess I'm just going to keep going. Phone lines are open if you want to talk about the complaint here. Okay. It talks about how the Big 12 schools, Texas and Oklahoma, how they left the conference. In July 2022, both the University of California, UCLA, and USC announced their plans of withdrawal. The date of the withdrawal coincided with the termination of the Pac-12 rights agreements. Again, not having to do with, I don't know. Some of this is, while engaging in discussions, page 28, while engaging in discussions with the conference, Clemson prepares to breach the grant of rights. While engaging in discussions with the conference, Clemson prepares to breach the grant of rights. So, this is going through the history of what's been going on with Florida State, right? And while this is going on, the Clemson themselves has been preparing for what the ACC would call a breach of everything, the Constitution, the bylaws, everything. $118. Get a load of this, ladies and gentlemen. Following the filing of these lawsuits, Florida State and ACC back and forth, Clemson indicated a desire to work with the conference regarding its own membership in the conference and requested assurances of confidentiality and protections that the ACC would not file a lawsuit against it. The ACC agreed to work with Clemson, seeking a business solution rather than resorting to litigation. Seeking a business solution. What does that mean? Seeking a business solution. Did they start some mediation? Did Clemson and the ACC start some negotiation? The ACC agreed to work with Clemson, seeking a business solution, or was this a wanting more unequal revenue sharing? The ACC was, but this had to do with Clemson indicated a desire to work with the conference regarding its own membership. It was about the membership. I need somebody to give me a call on 118. Immaculate, Mr. Hawkeye, what does 118 mean to you? While these assurances were being documented and without provocation, while these assurances were being documented and without provocation by the ACC, Clemson filed a complaint against the ACC in Pickens County. On information, holy smokes, this is really getting
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate. This is getting kind of okay. Can you see the screen here? Are you?
Yeah,
looking?
but I think we're on a little bit of a delay. So which part are you having me look at?
Okay. Okay, this is getting cloak and dagger here. Okay, hold on. Just give me a moment. Give me a moment. I'm really
I saw the 118 part.
Yeah, it gets even more. Now I just lost it again. Okay, hold on, everybody. Hold on. Okay, 118. Following the filing of these lawsuits, Clemson indicated a desire to work with the conference regarding its own membership in the conference and requested assurances of confidentiality and protections that ACC would not file a lawsuit against it. The ACC agreed to work with Clemson seeking a business solution. That whole word business solution in regarding to Clemson's own membership. Now, let's 120. On information and belief, Clemson had authorized the filing of litigation against the conference as early as 2023. And while it indicated to the ACC a desire to engage in productive conversation, it was actually finalizing and preparing this lawsuit, seeking to file first in South Carolina. On information and belief the ACC has that Clemson has been planning this for, and we've been reporting that, But what do you think about 118? I'm going to shut up. I want to hear what you got to say, and then I'm going to keep reading through this here. Go ahead, sir.
Kind of sounds like that happened a little while back. Like they've been in talks for a while.
Yeah.
About trying to get out. And then, so that would maybe be the question of why Clemson didn't file earlier. They were in talks with the ACC about how to get out. And I'm guessing those talks did not go to their liking. And ACC is trying to say they did all this just to get, first filing. But, I mean, if it's been going on that long, no. It sounds like they were in real talks. And then Clemson decided it wasn't going well, so they went ahead and filed first. But it sounds like they've been in talks for a while.
Yes,
to try to
doesn't
get out.
it? It does.
Yeah. So it kind of makes, now I wonder who else has talked to the ACC and who else is in talks right now. And maybe that would explain why some of them are doing these votes and going along with the votes, because they're in talks right now. Like, you don't want to piss off the conference you're in talks to try to get out of at a reasonable price. So this really muddies the water in terms of why certain schools are voting, because this tells us there have been talks going on for what, over a year now? It said 23, but I don't remember what the date was in 23.
Yeah, well, there was talks about Clemson doing something in October. There was a report from News and Observer that it was imminent. We were told that wasn't the case, that it was going to happen in the first quarter, a little bit after Florida State. But obviously the ACC had information. Clemson was in talks with them. Just the way it's worded. I mean, Clemson was trying to get out of in my opinion, Clemson was trying to get out of the conference.
Mm-hmm.
The ACC sounds like they were willing to work with Clemson, but maybe the ACC said, here's the number, and Clemson...
According to them.
Huh?
I mean, them being willing to work with the Clemson may not necessarily mean they came up to a reasonable number. Like, yes and no. According to the ACC, they're saying they're being reasonable.
Let me read this again.
Responses to this. I think that's going to be fireworks. When Clemson's going to respond to this, just like Florida State and ACC and going back and forth, they're going to file a response to this, and so that should be an interesting story. But to me, what this makes me think is, okay, so now we know the ACC, by their own claim, has been in talks with some of its members about them seeking a way out. So now I honestly have to question, okay, with how many have they had those talks? The Magnificent Seven? More? I don't know. That's it's an interesting thing, and it's interesting that it came from the ACC. Like, if Clemson had said this, then you might be like, okay, yeah, but how far did that go? But the ACC is saying they had the talks. So I think there's a little more weight to that.
Wow.
Yeah, if you're posting that, you might want to make it clear to folks that this is going back to 23.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people might think that's happening right now, because it sounds like that's not happening right now. That's another thing, too, is that settlement talks may not be going on right now.
Yes.
In fact, it kind of seems like there might have been, and those are dead. So we may see more filings if that's true. If there were talks going on and there no longer are, I think that there's a good chance we might see some more filings.
Wow. Now, let me, that 118. If anyone's looking at the complaint, look at 118. I'm down to one, I hope I skipped, I quickly went through a bunch of pages. Nothing seemed very interesting to me. Until we get to one, at the end of page 40, $195. To the contrary, and in violation of its obligations of good faith and fair dealing, Clemson has not acted in good faith and has not dealt fairly with the conference. 196. The conference has been damaged by Clemson's violation of its contractual obligations of good faith and fair dealing in an amount to be determined, but which the conference reasonably believes will be substantial. So the conference is going to sue Clemson for damages, just like it did Florida State. To me, as a non-lawyer, Immaculate, the ACC did not hold anything back on Clemson.
Yeah.
Even though Clemson was more focused in their lawsuit or complaint than Florida State was. Go ahead. I
have this picture in my mind. If you remember back during football season, there was a video of the Clemson officials standing on the sidelines with Commissioner Phillips.
Yes.
And it did not look like it was a very happy discussion. And I'm wondering if these talks that we're talking about actually maybe went back as far as that. Because the Clemson officials, either the AD or the president, I don't remember which one, did not look too happy with the camera focusing on them at the time. But that's what it's taking me back to, is that these talks may have been going on for a while, but that kind of feels like now, instead of they're using these lawsuits to start the conversation, I think we're at a point maybe where these lawsuits are coming about because the conversation didn't go well. Does that make sense to you?
Now, you could be absolutely correct on that. Now, I don't think we got a whiff of that in the Florida State going back and forth, right? But we definitely got a whiff of that here. Do you think maybe it was just Clemson that was in these talks? Or do you think Florida State had these talks?
I mean, maybe it's possible Florida State wasn't involved, but I highly doubt the ACC is holding these kind of talks with Clemson if it's just Clemson. Like, you don't have very much. That's why I say, for them to actually be holding those kind of talks, kind of makes me think that they were more involved in those talks than just Clemson and maybe just Clemson and Florida State. Why would you have those talks with just one school? Like, you're going to tell them, this is the price. Like, this is the agreement. Like, why would we make some special deal for you? Well, we're going to sue you. Okay. But if we're going on that long, I just don't see how it's just them. We'll see, but this definitely seems like something that's been going on for a while. So that's interesting, because we didn't have that in Florida State. That didn't come out in any of it, that there was already talks on how to get out. Maybe Florida State wasn't interested in having those kind of talks because they just weren't going to pay anywhere along the lines of what was being talked about. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, that's interesting. That's
yeah.
A lot.
And we've only gotten through page 40 of the 133. So who knows what else is I gotta hold on, Immaculate. Keep talking. I gotta do something here. I've got stuff coming at me left and right.
I mean,
doing these live. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Yeah, I was just going to talk a little bit here. It feels like we're just starting to scratch the surface of what's going on, and we've always kind of known that's the case. That there's clearly going to be a lot going on behind the scenes that's not going to be shared with the public. It's not going to be shared with the media. We're just not going to know about. We might be finding out more through these lawsuits than we've ever really found out in these situations of how it goes down. We didn't really get it with the PAC or any other type of realignments in the past. What we're seeing now is this type of stuff seems to be going on completely in private without us having an inkling, no whisperings. I mean, had you heard at all or gotten a whispering that any of these schools actually in talks?
No.
I mean, that I haven't seen anybody, nobody suggested that. Yet here it is. The ACC is saying it happened. So I believe them. I don't see why they would put that in there if it wasn't true. So, and just kind of talking and buying time here on this, I would say that there's more schools involved. I don't see why they would have talked that long or even have bothered to if it was just one school in the talk. So we'll see. I think we got more coming our way. And if this means that the talks broke down, then I don't know how many other schools could possibly be filing right now. I mean, there's the Magnificent Seven. There's the 3 that voted no. So we've got 2 of those so far. Is North Carolina going to file? Seems that seems crazy to me. Like the day when North Carolina and the ACC might be engaged in lawsuits against each other, just saying it makes me feel like there's no way. But I mean, we've got the 2 no votes that have done it. Maybe there's a third. What do you think?
Yeah, I have been given some information.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm just scrambling here. Where is Exhibit 7? Well, okay, so we should expect PATC community, keep your head on a swivel. There's Exhibit 2. I want to get to Exhibit 3. I'm going to have to go down a long ways here. We should expect a counter motion from Clemson either tonight, which is already 6 o'clock Eastern time, or early tomorrow morning.
Probably tomorrow morning.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry I'm going through this real fast, guys. I'm trying to get to Exhibit 7. And I don't want to... All we're looking at is a bunch of signatures. These were the amended... You know what? Screw that. I'm not even going to go... I'm not even...
These type of things, you're going to have I've seen filings, plenty of filings, and you're going to get a whole lot of filler. It's just... Yeah. It's just exhibit stuff and filler for it, so...
Okay.
As you can see, each page is a signature.
Really this is what I wanted to see here. The amendment to the Atlantic Coast Conference Grant of Rights Agreement. This amendment is entered into June 26. All those universities. And it's going to tell us exactly... Okay, it's just a bunch of signatures again. Okay, it doesn't tell us anything. Let's get out of that. Look, couple things, and I'm just talking in big generalities here, Immaculate. One of the things is the ACC is going after Clemson just as hard as it went after Florida State. Okay? I think it's obvious. Number two...
Maybe even harsher.
Maybe even harsher because, and I'm going to go back to it, Page 29. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are in this complaint, go to page 29. I put it on Twitter, as on X. Under 118, I think that might be the story of the day. Unless I'm misreading it. And I could be. Following the filing of these lawsuits. So before that, let me go before that because I skipped it here. Look, it's under page 28. It starts at page 28I. Okay? While engaging in discussions with the conference. I did not understand what that meant. But what that means is Clemson, while talking to the ACC, I had to read that like 5 times when in live, right? While engaging in discussions with the conference, Clemson talking to the ACC, Clemson prepares to breach the grant of rights. On December 21st, 2023, the ACC filed a complaint against Florida State, right? On December 22nd, Florida State came back and breached the grant of rights agreement. They breached the grant of rights agreement and filed a lawsuit against the ACC. On January 17th, 5 days after they had some meetings and some votes, the ACC filed an amended complaint against Florida State. And then it says, following the filing of these lawsuits, right? Going back and forth, Immaculate, right? Clemson indicated. So after January 17th, that's what I'm guessing. On January 17th, the ACC filed an amended complaint, and it says in 118, following these lawsuits, going back and forth, Clemson indicated a desire to work with the conference regarding its own membership in the conference. Regarding its own membership in the conference tells me that Clemson wasn't focused on solutions about unequal revenue sharing, about, exchanging red pens for blue pens, whatever, right? This is about their membership, regarding its own membership, and requested assurances of confidentiality and protections that the ACC would not file a lawsuit. Clemson is not going to be asking for that, Immaculate. I think you and I would agree. Clemson is not asking for confidentiality or protections that the ACC would not file a lawsuit if it wasn't about Clemson trying to get out of the conference, right? That's what we're talking about, right, Immaculate?
Yeah, like they're trying to say like that I think that's an argument that kind of wraps back around. They're trying to get primacy in this too, right? They're trying to have the North Carolina court be the one. So they're saying Clemson bargained in bad faith, and while ACC thought that they were bargaining in good faith, Clemson went and filed this suit. So they shouldn't be given primacy about it, which I find to be extremely hypocritical considering what they did to Florida State in order to get ahead of Florida State filing.
Yeah, but I just want to nail something down.
Because pointed out, they got a vote for this initial complaint, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
After they did not have a chance to jump ahead of Clemson, they went ahead and had their vote for the first initial complaint. They didn't do that with Florida State because they wanted to jump ahead. So this kind of started to feel a little kind of like projection. Like everyone's trying to jump ahead of them to do this, so we're going to do everything we can to jump ahead of them. But you're not really proving how anyone else actually has. Like they just talks broke down, they filed. And in one case, the ACC jumping ahead to get ahead of Florida State, guilty of doing what they're claiming Clemson is doing. They didn't even do as their bylaws say and had a vote. But yet here they are with Clemson. They had their vote because there was no longer a rush to file. So to me, God, this is I mean, on the lowest level, it's hypocrisy. On the highest level, can that be used as evidence in the other case of like, look, they even went ahead and had their vote on the complaint for Clemson.
Yeah. The
ACC
dotted its I's and crossed its T's on Clemson, but they did not do that with Florida State.
Because they were in a rush. Like someone had leaked to them. Like Florida State's about to go file, you better get ahead of them. And they didn't have time, so they rushed. But, and before they were saying the amended complaint's different, you know, that counts, whatever. Well, here is the initial complaint, and they got to vote on it. So that whole statement that they had over there on the Florida State side kind of seems false. I don't want to say lying.
It's false.
But, you know.
But I just want to nail this part down. Let's be blunt here. Clemson and ACC were having discussions after or on January 17th, leading up to probably what was the date on Friday? 15th, March 15th, when that CFP thing happened. Clemson and the conference ACC were having discussions about Clemson's membership, and Clemson's was trying to figure out a way how to get out of the conference. Let's be blunt, okay? Right? Yeah, that's what was happening. And Clemson probably came to the opinion that, holy smokes, ACC's not willing to play, not willing to, you know, this isn't going anywhere, so this is what we're doing. And by the way, so that's on page 29. Boy, I wish I would have written down the page, but when they did vote on it, they had more than 2/3. I don't know if you were here at that point. They had more than 2/3 voting for this complaint. So it was more than 10 members.
I think they're saying 3/4 of the members gave permission to have the meeting.
Yeah.
And 2/3 of those present.
It said more than 2/3.
Right. Like they're not saying, like, it could have been everyone there voted, but these are from what someone's saying, these are the legal minimums that they need according to their constitution. You got to have 3/4 of your members say, yes, it's okay to have this meeting. And then of those that are present, you got to have 2/3 that vote yes. They're not telling us, like maybe everyone did, maybe not. They're just saying they've met the thresholds. So, you know, that they didn't get as detailed, it doesn't seem, in terms of who voted for what, unless you can find that in there somewhere. But it just means maybe there are some who said, yeah, it's okay to have this meeting, go ahead. You know, like you're saying, maybe some schools that are in talks with them, trying to figure out ways out, didn't want to like piss them off, so they gave them their, you know, permission to do this, but they wouldn't vote. Don't know. Just saying that's a possibility.
So after January 17th, 2024, Clemson and called up old Jim Phillips and says, we got to talk about our membership. These lawsuits are going back and forth. We've been in these meetings. We probably, you know, we were in the winter meetings, right? Let's talk about our membership. What can we do to get out of this conference? And in this, on page 29, the ACC said, you know, we'll have a business solution, which to me means settlement, right?
You would think so, like some type of. They're using these terms for it, but I think what most people would call that is a settlement.
Wow.
So the settlement's an actual official term, you know, with the courts. So they're trying not to use that.
And that number came too high. So now Clemson's doing this for leverage. Some of this is speculation, but some of this it's written right in there on page 29. I'll put it up on the board again. This is not, for me, it's not difficult to decipher what happened after January 27th. I think this is the big story of this complaint, to be honest with you. And here's another question I have.
Yeah.
This is another question I have. For people who are just arriving 118, following the filing of these lawsuits, Clemson indicated a desire to work with the conference regarding its own membership in the conference and requested assurances of confidentiality and protections that the ACC would not file a lawsuit against it. The ACC agreed to work with Clemson, seeking a business solution rather than resorting to litigation. I'm sorry, but that sounds like the ACC was ready to negotiate. Clemson's, this is not about unequal revenue sharing. This is about regarding its own membership. And Immaculate, the question I have for you is, why did ACC put this in there? They didn't have to put 118 in there. They didn't. They've got 133 pages. They've got a lot of filler. They've got a lot of good stuff in there from their side about the grant of rights. Why did they put 118? You know what that reminds me of? That 118.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of when in one of their motions back and forth, the ACC said in public in that motion back to Florida State, I think it was on Leon County, something to the effect of, there is a commercial how do they say it? A commercial way to get out of this. A commercial. We're willing to talk about a commercial. They didn't use the word settlement.
A business solution.
Did they use the? I don't think they used the word business solution. They used commercial something.
You're talking about something else. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there was something back there where basically it said, ACC is saying, look, we'll talk. This is a commercial transaction. I think that was the phrase. Commercial transaction. We can do something here. Business solution. We can do something here. But I believe the ACC is putting out big old numbers out there that Clemson and Florida State is saying, whoa, we'll just go to court and see what kind of leverage we get. I don't know. Am I reading too much into it?
Right,
I don't think so. Go ahead.
That's what I was, I'm sure the ACC is trying to present this as if, they were negotiating in good faith and we were trying to come to an agreement that all parties would be agreeable to. Well, chances are it was probably a little bit more agreeable to them. Otherwise, I don't think Florida State and Clemson would be resorting to filing this. So what it really comes across to me, and yes, they're sharing a whole lot of information, so this seems very important to them, is they're trying to I think they're trying to show that Clemson was negotiating in bad faith by then going and doing this. So this is all about their fight for primacy. Like, they think it's that big of a deal to control where this is held in court. And, I would say maybe it's a stretch. I don't know how the court's going to see that. I really, really don't. That's definitely something you're going to want to bring up with someone who's got some time in dealing with judges a little bit more on that level. Whether it be courtroom experienced lawyers, or even there are some other people who work with law firms that have just as much experience with the judges besides the lawyers. Even like paralegals and stuff, they write up a lot of this stuff. But that to me seems like they're throwing a lot out on the table to control this. Like, they're giving away a lot of information to try to make sure that the court gives them primacy. And that I'm kind of shocked that they think that it's that much value to having that they're willing to give up all this information publicly. So Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. I'm really kind of interested to see how some other people look at this too. So,
all righty, man. I appreciate
jump off
the call.
Here for now. I'm kind of hoping you get a call from one of your lawyer friends here that might be watching.
I hope someone. Yeah, but it takes a while to go through it and everything. So I understand. But thank you, sir. I appreciate the call, Hot Guy. Thank you for helping me out here.
Absolutely, great show, man. Appreciate what you're doing.
Appreciate it. Are you guys getting any buffering right now? Let me know if you guys are getting any buffering right now.
Call from.
Hello.
This is Goldie Gopher at Perry Mason in the case of the missing Gora, Greg.
Got it. Got it.
So, it's Ryan, just in case. I'm thinking about this, and I sent you a DM about this, and, amongst the 200 million DMs you get every day. So, I was thinking about this, and it's interesting. If there was discussion and settlement talk, I really think that this whole concept of ESPN having the unilateral option to opt out of the deal, I think that right there is what the sticking point was on the settlement number, Greg. Because when I look at this, ESPN hasn't agreed to that. So the Gore from 2027 to 2036, in my opinion, has no value. And I did some research for everybody, looking at, going clear back from Maryland to AAC defections to Texas and Oklahoma. And the interesting thing I found is the amount that was settled on almost every single time equaled about the exact amount it took to make the conference whole as far as that member's contributions for the final few years of the TV contract in which they wouldn't be a member. And interestingly enough, if you look at that, I don't think that the exit fee for FSU or Clemson, I don't think any judge is going to award an exit fee greater than their amount of distributions for whatever year that they're going to be gone. There's a difference. Exit fees are penalties, but in contract law, Greg, very rarely do you see punitive measures allowed. And there's a difference between punitive and penalty. And, I think that in reality, I think what FSU offered the ACC was probably more than generous, that 180 to a 200. And I think the ACC, for whatever reason, is swinging for the fences here and is going all or nothing. And I think that's why you have basically Clemson and FSU just basically putting on the gloves and getting into the rink and, getting hardcore. I think it's ridiculous, and I find it funny that the ACC talks about bad faith, because the collection of what their entire argument rests upon an addendum in 2016 to a very simply worded Gore in 2013 that you can find, but all it talks about is we're basically giving our media rights or we're allowing the ACC to negotiate our media rights to the ESPN agreements, and the ESPN agreements are what's kind of in secret. And the fact that these universities have been extremely restricted in their ability to look at these agreements, they probably weren't even given any input in the negotiation of those agreements. if you want to talk about bad faith is basically not telling you that there's a unilateral option for ESPN to kill the TV network deal. Bad faith is not letting your members know that, that you're basically making decisions that are self-dealing to your family, like John Swafford's son, that benefit you, but aren't necessarily looking out for them. I mean, this is sort of like selling your house, Greg, and the home inspector is really the home inspector is the secret lover of the seller. This is kind of, I find it comical that the ACC complains about bad faith, because in reality they were given a fiduciary duty to these schools, and for them to say, I get if ESPN wants to keep things confidential, but picking and selecting what information these schools can see that would have a material impact on their decision, like I think knowing whether or not the ESPN has a unilateral option to kill the whole thing in 2027, that's a pretty material detail. And extending that option without getting the approval of anybody, that's a pretty material detail that I don't think any of those schools would have signed that GOR to begin with. And that GOR all depends on the understanding of those ACC media agreement deals, which if you don't have the ability to fully go in there and understand them and participate in the negotiation of them, I don't see how... it doesn't matter if you've signed it, because you have every reason to believe that the commissioner has a fiduciary duty, just like a trustee would, to take care of the matters of a trust. I just think I think it's comical. I mean, the ACC looks like a joke here, and I've told you this before. This is headed to full implosion, Greg. Full implosion, and whether or not Notre Dame grabs some of the private ACC schools and decides to do, what the Big East did when it broke away from the AAC. I don't know, but I just think that this thing is, I get the feeling Miami's gotten on the got on the stage, and, I would not be surprised to see, I think, in my mind, FSU, Clemson, UNC, and Miami are the four that are ready to jump off the ship. And we'll see what happens. But you're doing a great job on the show, Greg. I hope I bought you some valuable reading time with my with my comments. But thanks for all you do, Greg. Unless you have anything you have to ask me, I'll go ahead and hop off and let others call in.
I appreciate your DMs. I read them. I learn from them.
I wouldn't. I'm surprised you have the time, Greg.
No,
You're a busy man.
I read them. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I want to hit on something. Thank you, sir.
No problem. And maybe see if I don't know if Doug or Danielle have called in, but if they have or haven't, I encourage them to jump in and get their insight, because they've got some great comments. But great show, Greg. Keep up the good work, my friend.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I gotta drill down on something here. I know you guys are probably getting sick and tired of me talking about the same thing over and over again. But this is what I do. There is something here. I missed something here. Let's because I think this is the story here. Is there any way I can pop this up anymore? I really want to hit this hard. Okay. Okay, I want everybody to read this now. We're going to go over this again, because I missed something. I missed two things. Okay? It's on page 28 of the complaint. While engaging in discussions with the conference, Clemson prepares to breach the grant of rights. Boy, I don't know why I do not know why the ACC put this in here, because they really did not have to. But they really told us a lot. On December 21st, 2023, we know this. The ACC filed a complaint against Florida State. The day before, December 22nd, Florida State breached the grant of rights agreements. Okay? And then on January 17th, the ACC filed an amended complaint against Florida State. And we know they had a meeting on January 12th. They had some votes this time. And the ACC filed the complaint. Okay. So sometime after January 17th, following the filing of these lawsuits, Clemson indicated a desire to work with the conference regarding its own membership. Just how it's written. Clemson indicated a desire to work with the conference. Clemson was willing to work with the conference regarding its own membership. I mean, what is there to work on? Right? The only thing you're working on regarding your own membership, I mean, is Clemson under probation? No. Is there a big scandal? It indicated a desire to work with the conference regarding its own membership in the conference. And requested assurances of confidentiality. No one's going to know about it. We didn't at Peek Around the Corner. Nobody else we talked to knew about it. Requested assurances of confidentiality and protections that the ACC will not file a lawsuit against it, though. So this was the most sensitive talks. Hear me out now. Be patient with me. The most sensitive talks between Clemson and the ACC. Because Clemson wanted confidentiality and they wanted protections. In other words, let's really get into the brass tacks of this. How can Clemson change its conference affiliation? How can it lead the conference? That's what 118 is all about. Okay? Clemson wanted confidentiality and protections. The ACC agreed to work with Clemson. In other words, work. They're willing to negotiate. They're willing to talk. I get it. This is speculation, but how else can you read this? Okay? The ACC agreed to work with Clemson, seeking a business solution, negotiation, mediation, rather than resorting to litigation. Don't go down. We can settle this. You don't have to go to litigation. This has to do with Clemson's conference affiliation. Clemson wants out. Clemson desired to work, and the ACC said, yeah, we agreed to work with you. We'll talk with you, Clemson. We'll negotiate with you, Clemson. We'll see. Let's seek a business resolution. Give us $500 million, $600 million. I don't know what that number is, but business solution. Buy your way out of the gore. As a gentleman in the chat room, King Spleen, thank you so much, King Spleen. Commercial opportunity. That was the phrase that ACC used with Florida State. There's a commercial opportunity here. You can buy your way out of the grant of rights, possibly. Okay. Now, but that's not the only thing. So this is Clemson and ACC. Clemson has a desire. ACC's willing to negotiate. Clemson's going to get their confidentiality. Clemson's going to get their protection. Now, this is what I missed. Shame on me. 119. While these assurances were being documented. While these assurances were being documented, documented. While these assurances were being documented, and the ACC was writing this up, you're going to have your confidentiality. We're not going to sue you for you talking to us. We're going to write this up. While these assurances were being documented, and without provocation, without warning, without provocation, we ACC, we didn't do anything. By the ACC, without provocation by the ACC, on March 19th, Clemson filed a complaint against the ACC in Pickens County, South Carolina. Going back to what Immaculate said, Clemson indicated a desire to work with the conference. Confidentiality. Maybe Florida State did not know that. Maybe North Carolina did not know that. They probably didn't. Miami probably did not know that. And now, if Florida State hasn't been in talks, maybe this is the first time they've heard that Clemson and the ACC were starting something, right? And while these assurances were being documented, while the ACC was writing it all down, boom, Clemson, March 19th. What motivated it? The start of the show was Why Now Clemson? We had to change the title when there was breaking news. Why now Clemson? Why now Clemson did you do this when you were, looks like you were in the start of some sort of official negotiation with the ACC in regards to your membership in the ACC? Why now? Well, again, we were told by the Florida State Money Perch in consultation with the Clemson Money Perch, we were told this 10 minutes before we came on live, before this breaking news. The first title of this live show was Clemson is hot. Hot at the ACC. Hot. And the final straw was the CFP, where Notre Dame is going to make more money than Clemson. They're going to make more money because they're going to get a participation money bonus for an independent school if they make the college football playoffs. That could be 33% more than the ACC schools and a flat compensation base. Clemson said that was it. They are hot. They are hot. So that was the show. And then we get breaking news. And this is what we learned. Clemson is sitting there. I mean, connect the dots, ladies and gentlemen. Connect the dots. Clemson is sitting there. We want to talk to you, ACC. We just want to talk. We don't want to get sued. Is there any way for us to explore our real value out there? Can we leave the conference? Is there something we can do? But we want confidentiality. We don't want anybody to know this. We don't want any other ACC members to know this. And according to 118, the ACC agreed to work with Clemson. We'll talk. Seeking a business solution, a settlement, rather than resorting to litigation. But Clemson decided to go into litigation. There was something there, and it's probably more than this whole Notre Dame thing. There was something there that triggered Clemson to go to the litigation route. And even though they were beginning to work with the East, this did not start until after January 17th, 2 months ago. Something made Clemson go down the litigation route instead of seeking a business solution route. And we don't know what that is, but we are free to speculate. And one of those things is that CFP thing where Notre Dame is going to make more money than Clemson. Number two, even though Clemson has won a couple national championships lately. But number two, there maybe Clemson, when they were, maybe the ACC already gave them a number, saying, yeah, we'll both seek a business solution, and this is what we're talking about. And then Clemson looked at it and said, we'll go ahead and do litigation because the risk cost benefit analysis tells us, yeah, it probably is less costly to go through litigation on this. Okay. We're going to open up the phone lines once again. 763-260-1333. Brick, holy smokes. Brick Bat, I did not see you with those 10 gift memberships. Holy smokes. Thank you so much for your generosity. I hope you did not do that a while ago. If you did, I apologize, sir. Or ma'am. Brick Bat, I apologize if you have had that out there for a long time. Thank you so much for your incredible generosity to this channel once again, Brick Bat. Unbelievable. 10 people were gifted memberships. Holy smoke, Cloak and Dagger memberships because of the generosity of Brick Bat. You are hereby knighted, Cloak and Dagger, once again. Wow. And let me see if I can see who was gifted those 10 memberships. It might have been a long time ago. Okay. Bo Stacker, Ronnie, Greg, Lewis, a member, Carson, Jeff, Natividad, Chad Ledbetter, Edward Wilson, Joe Tucker, Clinton Moses, and Kenneth. You are all hereby Cloak and Dagger knighted. You are all members. Please say thank you to Brick Bat in the chat room. You're a member of our channel. That means you can go watch the early peak Cloak and Dagger member-only episodes. We dropped an important one today. We're not even going to talk about it on live, but it's Movement in the Holy Smokes Theater. We're not going to have enough time in this live show. But with those early peak member episodes, we drop a little bit of Cloak and Dagger. You get that information. Let it marinate, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. We're definitely going to talk about it tomorrow or later tonight if we come on again. And then we dropped an episode on Nebraska hiring a new athletic director. They are hiring Washington's athletic director. I'm a little confused on that. So go watch that episode, 382. That is for everybody. Everybody can watch that. Daniel Montecastle, did I miss Justin speaking? No, he has not called back yet. Brick Bat, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that incredible generosity. Wow. Okay. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. Again, breaking news. Because of Justin, once again, we were definitely the first ones on it. Definitely the first ones on it. We were talking about it for 30 minutes before any national reporter had it out there. We've been analyzing it. We've been going through it. 137 pages. 137 pages. A lot of it is filler. It's the same argument back and forth. fiduciary duties, exit fees, grant of rights. But I would tell you, go check out page 29. Go check it out. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid.
Call from
Stephen, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me, Greg.
You bet.
Couple things I think are always important to keep in mind with these filings. One, the lawyers know that these are going to be made public.
Yes, sir.
So not only is this being litigated in the court of law, it's being litigated in the court of public opinion.
Yes, sir.
And also, the intention of the ACC's lawyers is to make the ACC look as good as possible, make Florida State, Clemson look as poorly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the language is going to be couched that way. I think that 118 provision is an attempt to embarrass Clemson for several reasons. I think you brought up. One, they want to sort of let everyone know that, you think Clemson's been on your side the whole time, Florida State, but really behind the scenes, they've been trying to negotiate with us.
But Steve, let me break in, and I'll give you all the time you need. But on the other side of the coin, the ACC is also letting everybody know that they were agreeing. They agreed to work with Clemson. They were willing to talk about their ownership. They were willing to give Clemson confidentiality in the midst of an entire 15-member conference. The ACC was willing to talk with Clemson, willing to give them protections, willing to find a business solution instead of it going to litigation. So the other side of the coin, I believe there's a lot of information that the ACC, these lawyers here gave up for the ACC that I don't know why they put it in there. But go ahead.
Well, to make the ACC look good. They want to make the ACC look like they're being reasonable. Like, okay, sure, we're happy to talk to you about, your membership status. Now, what they don't say is, well, how far did those talks get? Like, if the conversation went, well, sure, you can leave the ACC for $500 million. That's a pretty short negotiation. Clemson can't accept that. And if the ACC says, well, that's the final offer, I think Florida State and Clemson and I'm sure other members have tried multiple times over the last several years to negotiate with the ACC and try to come up with a reasonable buyout. And I think the ACC, either out of desperation or out of false confidence, believe that they don't have to negotiate.
Yeah. Well, let me then can I ask you for your speculation, sir?
Sure.
Why do you think Clemson did it now, March 19th, while according to the ACC lawyers in this complaint, while these assurances were being documented and without provocation, why did Clemson decide to do this now? Because it sounded like they were just starting to talk, these two sides. Why do you think Clemson decided to hit it now on March 19th?
Yeah, well, first of all, they didn't just start to talk. This is something that's been ongoing.
Well, since January 17th. That's only 2 months.
Again, you're taking what the ACC says as the truth, and it under no, it doesn't have to be the truth.
Okay, all right. Because it does say after the filings. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, if the conversations I'm sure there have been conversations, but Clemson didn't wait till now to go, oh, by the way, could we maybe negotiate a way out? So I think the beginning of 119 there, where they talk about, while these conversations were being documented, I think that's a bit of a veiled threat to Clemson that, these private conversations we've had, we've been taking notes, and we will make those notes, public if and when we need to.
Yeah, they were writing this up,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, right. They didn't. Right, they just had to vote. Right, they just had to vote this morning, so they didn't type this out in the last hour or two.
Yeah.
So they were just, this was all a formality. They knew eventually Clemson was going to sue. Yeah, I think partly Clemson wanted to wait until after the college football playoff negotiations were done. There may have been some parts of their board or whoever the decision makers there who maybe needed further proof or needed to be pushed over the edge. And like you said, like the sweetheart deal that Notre Dame is going to get, the further evidence that ACC members are going to be behind the eight ball.
Yeah.
Was the final straw. I think they partly maybe wanted to see, they wanted to let the ACC respond to Florida State and then use their response against them, which I think they have.
Yeah.
Because I think the ACC keeps kind of putting their foot in their mouth here on these responses, and I'm not sure it's necessary, but they're doing this for the public to some degree, and so I think they're trying to dunk on Florida State and Clemson, and they're saying things they shouldn't say.
Yeah.
Like Immaculate brought up the ACC wanted to put in their filing that, hey, we had a vote this morning. We had 3/4 of our members said, yeah, let's talk about it, and 2/3 or more said sure, go ahead with it. Well, again, you're just highlighting for Florida State that you knew you needed to have a vote.
Yeah.
You just tried to rush to beat us, and so you waited till after the fact, and now you want to say, oh, we never really thought we needed to vote. We didn't think this was it was a material litigation to sue one of our members.
Yeah.
And then and I think the other thing that they did was they wanted to brag about how great the ACC is. Like, well, we have more champions than anybody.
Yeah.
We have we rank second in playoff appearances and national championships. Well, Florida State and Clemson are going to go, yeah, you've been the second best conference, in the country over the last 10 years, and yet you've negotiated us into the third best position when it comes to playoff money distribution and TV rights deal.
Yeah.
That's a breach of your fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah.
You should be negotiating from a point of strength.
Yeah.
And you have it at every turn. You've acquiesced and you've ceded our advantage to the other conferences. You haven't done your job. Everyone, I watched several other shows and people talk about this, and they always bring up, well, you signed the agreement. That's true, but they signed the agreement again with the understanding that the ACC would do everything it possibly could to try to continue to find new streams of revenue for their members and to keep them on par with the other college football conferences in the country. Yeah. And they flatly haven't done it. No. Therefore, you violated the contract before us, so now we have a right to say, we shouldn't be held underneath under this contract any further.
Yeah. Great call. Great points, sir. Great points. I appreciate it, Steve.
No, thank you. I love watching your show. It's a bit surreal to be a Florida State fan, and I get so much news and information.
Yeah.
From a guy in Minnesota, but
a fat guy from Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun.
It's a national show, so I do appreciate it, sir. Please, Steve, call again.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Great call from Steve. Very, very, very intelligent call from Steve. Again, PATC community is a lot smarter than the fat guy from Minnesota. I lean on you guys more than any college football host in the country. Morris Simmons, thank you so much. Thank you so much for becoming an early Pete Cloak and Dagger member. Holy smokes. Thank you for your generosity. I do appreciate it. Morris Simmons, you are hereby Cloak and Dagger Knighted. That means you can watch the early Pete Cloak and Dagger episodes. If there's somebody out there who wants to become an early Pete Cloak and Dagger episode, we dropped we definitely dropped an important one today. They're all important, but today was important this morning. And I think history is going to treat us very kindly on this one. Hint, hint, wink, wink. If you want to watch that and become a member of this growing college football YouTube Cloak and Dagger show, go to the link provided in the description below the video. Hit the join button and become a Cloak and Dagger Early Peak member. We do provide episodes for everybody. We did episode 382 of this morning on our take, PATC's take on Nebraska new athletic director from the University of Washington who had been there for 6 months. You can watch that episode, everybody. Episode 382. Let me know how wrong I got it once again, and then again become a member and watch our episode Early Peak Cloak and Dagger episode 28. If you're new to this channel, or if you haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button. Get yourself subscribed and have your notifications on, because we can come on live at any time. We did it and we do it with breaking news, and oftentimes when we're doing a live show, breaking news happens. We had to readjust this whole show. So please subscribe to our channel, open up your notifications. We cover everything in college football. Everything in college football. So if you're a college football fan, national show, please subscribe. Smash the like button if you like the content today. If you did not, hit the thumbs down button and let me know in the comment section or on Twitter, on X at Flug Empire, and let us know how we can better serve you, the college football fan. In regards to the question of the Florida State Money Perch email, we talked about it a little bit. We'll talk about it more in the live show tomorrow, but essentially Clemson is hot because before all this other stuff broke out today, because of the CFP payout. Because Notre Dame is going to get a bonus, a participation bonus. If they make the playoffs, they're going to get so many more millions of dollars in that year than Clemson. Over the stretch of the new playoff system, over the 6 years, Notre Dame's going to make more than Clemson. And Clemson is hot. Now, that's... I'm not sure that's why. I don't think that's why they... that's why they pulled the trigger on March 19th. But it did not help. It did not help. Once again, Clemson said, man, Notre Dame represents Notre Dame better than the ACC represents us, and we're the ones that won 2 national championships in the last 10 years. That was part of the email. This was not an email directly from a Clemson money perch. This was a Clemson money perch to a Florida State money perch given to my BTM associates, given to me. I got it 10 minutes before we came on live, and it is a doozy. I cannot go through it all, But that was, Clemson is hot. So, and now during this live show, during this breaking news, we got information that expect something tonight, probably not tonight, tomorrow morning in Pickens County. No, not Pickens County. It's Clemson's reaction to Mecklenburg County. I don't have my... Clemson's going to do something in Mecklenburg County tomorrow. So we're going to be on live at sometime tomorrow. Again, make sure you subscribe to our channel, have your notifications on, because we cover it like nobody else in college football. So stick with us. I appreciate you all coming here. Once again, epic live show, massive live show. We appreciate it. Daryl Harlow, appreciate you becoming a new member. You are hereby Cloak and Dagger Knighted. Thank you, Mr. Harlow, with that membership. You can go to our YouTube channel, watch the early peak Cloak and Dagger members only episodes, but go watch all the episodes. Daryl Harlow, I appreciate you coming on in. I appreciate everybody, their incredible donations, very generous community, helping us keep the lights on. There are no strings attached to this YouTube channel. You know we are the Rebel Outpost. For many of those who've been with us from the very beginning, we are liked by nobody. Nobody in the Big Ten offices. That has been documented by the Los Angeles Times. We are not liked by anybody. So the only way we stay alive is through your generosity. And it has been unbelievable. I appreciate all the donations, the new members, the gifted memberships are a true testament to the generosity of the people in this community, giving out gift memberships to those so they can participate in all the content. Thank you so very much. Thank you for the wonderful comments. I could not get to them all in the chat room today. And the phone calls again. Best phone calls. You know, there's a lot of great college football YouTube channels out there. There are college football YouTube hosts that don't try to sing like I do. They don't try to sing. They're not making their people upset. The people watch they're not singing off key like I do. They do wonderful college football YouTube channels, but every once in a while, I know most of them do not have a caller interaction show. And I don't understand that. I don't get it. I love the calls because I'm learning constantly. I love the people in the chat. A lot of people don't call, but man, they are keeping their head on a swivel and they're giving me all this information during the live show. And I don't know. It's that is probably why we get so many calls, so many comments, so many views for such a small, young channel that we are, because the PATC community is so involved in this channel. And I think you all are so involved in this channel because you obviously know the fat guy from Minnesota needs you to be involved in this channel. I think that's how it works. But anyways, I want to thank you all for showing up and really contributing to this live epic show once again. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for Mecklenburg County. We're going to be checking it early tomorrow morning. And when it hits, we're going to come on live and we talk about everything in college football. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you